Welcome back to the Runner's Paradox podcast. You know, for a lot of us who've been running for years, racking up the miles, maybe got a few race medals hanging up, well, you kind of reach this point, don't you?
You settle in.
Yeah, you feel like, okay, I've got this figured out. This is my way of running. Because you've put in the time, you've endured, you must have landed on the best way for your body to move, right?
It really does feel like that. It's this powerful sense of mastery almost. But it's often an illusion, isn't it? That comfort you feel, the sheer number of miles making you think, well, this must be right. And it's fixed.
Exactly.
But, the tough question we have to grapple with is, what if those habits, the ones that feel so ingrained, are actually holding you back? Or maybe worse, what if they're slowly setting you up for an injury down the line?
That's the core paradox we're really digging into today. This idea that just because you've survived running for 10 years, it doesn't automatically mean your gait is, well, correct or even good for you. And this exploration, it comes straight out of the Runner's Paradox book. We're diving into part 4, which kicks off with a question that feels almost vulnerable, especially for experienced runners. Do I really know how to run?
Yeah, it's a confronting question. And chapter 13, which is our focus today, Relearning to Run, the self-organizing body, just systematically takes apart that sense of complacency.
Okay.
The core idea in this chapter is actually incredibly freeing, I think. He says the running body isn't this rigid machine, set in stone by genetics or fate. It's fluid, it's adaptive, it's this dynamic system that's capable of really profound change. Your running style, it's not like your fingerprint. It's more like a living document that's constantly being revised.
Living document. I like that. Okay, so let's unpack this system. Our mission today really is to understand why the way we run now is often just, well, a collection of quick fixes, compensations, survival adaptations.
Not necessarily pure efficiency.
Not sustainable efficiency, yeah. And crucially, we need to explore the science, the evidence that shows real positive biomechanical change isn't just a nice idea, it's actually achievable.
It absolutely is if we give our bodies the right inputs and awareness. So we start with this concept, the self-organizing system. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's fundamental to how we learn movement. Your body is constantly learning, rewiring itself, reorganizing its patterns, like right now.
In real time.
In real time, yeah. Adapting to your strengths, your old injuries, learned habits.
Yeah.
Basically anything it needs to do just to keep you moving forward.
Okay.
But here's the catch, the sort of the flaw in this brilliant system. These adaptations, while they work right now, are often really suboptimal for your long-term health, structurally speaking.
So it's like the body's playing the short game, prioritizing getting through this run, this mile, over thinking about the next 10 years.
Precisely. It's constantly trying to minimize immediate effort. When your body's under load, like during a run, it has one main goal. Maximize immediate energy efficiency and achieve what feels smooth internally.
Smoothness. Yeah. Okay. So it wants to get rid of any jerkiness, any awkward feeling, any muscle strain it doesn't think it needs right now.
That's the heart of the issue, really. Your body's incredibly efficient, but its definition of efficiency is all about, let's say, thermodynamics, minimizing calorie burn now. It's not thinking about preserving your knee cartilage or your Achilles tendon health over the next decade, not its primary concern. So if a tiny little compensation lets you keep your effort low and makes the movement feel fluid,
the brain just locks it in like, okay, this is the new normal.
Exactly. The central nervous system goes, great, new efficient pattern found, and reinforces it rapidly.
And this is where it gets really tricky for us as runners, because that internal feeling of smoothness, it can be totally misleading.
Oh, absolutely deceptive. We rely so much on how things feel, right? If it feels easy or fast or just natural, we assume it must be right.
Yeah.
But the book shares this great story about Ying, the author. After years of competitive running, she finally saw video footage of herself. And she felt like she was flying, totally powerful, in sync.
But the video showed something else.
Completely different picture. The visual evidence showed a gait that was, well, full of these little dysfunctional compensations. Patterns she had no idea were there.
Wow. That disconnect must have been huge. You feel one thing, you see another.
Monumental cognitive dissonance, yeah. Because when you're running, you just feel the rhythm, the effort level. Ying realized that feeling of smoothness wasn't good form. It was just her body being incredibly good at managing its internal resources.
Even if that meant using strategies that were potentially damaging.
Exactly. Using strategies to keep the pace feeling steady, even if they put weird stress on joints or muscles, your body, in a way, becomes an expert at creating this illusion that everything's fine, everything's aligned.
Even when it's not, even when there's unnecessary strain building up.
Precisely, which speaks volumes about how adaptable our whole system is, the kinetic chain. Muscles, joints, head to toe. It's constantly adjusting.
We see that adaptability even in simple things, right? Like just walking. Didn't a study show that if you add a tiny weight to one hand?
Oh yeah, that's a classic demonstration. It shows how fast the whole system reorganizes. Researchers put a small, almost unnoticeable weight on one hand while someone walked.
Okay.
And the body didn't just adjust that one arm. The adjustments went through the entire kinetic chain. They saw changes in muscle activity in both arms. The arm without the weight actually started swinging more.
Wait, really? Adding weight to the right makes the left arm swing wider.
That's what they found.
Yeah.
And the weighted arm swung less. It's fascinating. The body reorganized itself across the board to handle that tiny asymmetry.
So the brain wasn't aiming for perfect symmetry.
Nope. Its goal was maintaining the overall frequency of movement, the momentum needed to keep moving forward smoothly. It wanted the feeling to stay calibrated.
Which proves that our gait isn't this isolated thing. It's constantly reacting to everything.
Absolutely. It's a living dialogue with every tiny change in the environment, every load you carry. Think about running with your phone in your left hand every single run for years.
You don't even think about it.
Right. But that slight, consistent asymmetrical weight. It gets baked into your system. It subtly changes your pelvic rotation, how your right foot hits the ground. Maybe everything, really. And it could be setting up some future injury pattern, all in the name of making this run feel efficient.
That's quite a thought. The body adapts, but it's adapting to the path of least resistance right now.
Exactly. Not the path of greatest structural integrity for the long haul. And that constant, immediate adaptation. Well, it can turn the body into this beautifully self-calibrated machine that's still, unfortunately, ticking towards an injury. And, this incredible rapid adaptability. That's actually the strongest proof against the idea that your gait is fixed.
Right, the myth that this is just how I run.
Yeah, that whole notion that once you learn to run, your style is set. It's just fundamentally wrong. The running body shows amazing plasticity.
Plasticity meaning changeable.
Changeable, moldable through consistent input, yeah. Your motor patterns aren't set in stone.
And there's solid research backing this up, right? Experiments that really show the brain creating these illusions of stability, like that split belt treadmill thing.
Well, the split belt treadmill, that's the gold standards, really, for showing gait plasticity. It's a brilliant setup. Imagine a treadmill, but it's got two belts, one for each foot, and they can run at different speeds.
Okay, so one leg's going faster than the other.
Exactly. Let's say one belt is running much slower. At first, it feels incredibly weird, totally awkward, but the body immediately starts trying to recalibrate to make it feel normal.
How does it do that?
Well, the leg on the slower belt. It starts spending more time on the ground, a longer stance phase, and the leg on the faster belt. It does the opposite. It spends more time swinging through the air, a longer swing phase.
Huh. So the body's doing this complex dance to try and make it feel like both legs are contributing evenly.
Precisely that. It's creating an artificial sense of symmetry in propulsion, even though the underlying mechanics are completely asymmetrical and, frankly, bizarre.
The brain is just overriding the weird sensory input to make the experience feel normal.
That's the power of the central nervous system, the CNS. It's normalizing the experience. And this plasticity, it goes beyond just leg mechanics. Think about our vision. Let's say a runner develops that common habit of letting their head tilt slightly forward. Its poor form stresses the neck.
Right.
But subconsciously, their eyes will adjust their gaze slightly upwards to keep the horizon looking level.
So even though your head is physically tilted down, your eyes tell your brain, nope, we're looking straight ahead, everything's upright.
Exactly. The visual input registers as aligned, tricking the runner into feeling stable and upright, even when they're physically hunched over.
That sounds really bad long term.
It is, because that forward head posture stretches and weakens the muscles at the back of your neck. And critically, that's where many of the proprioceptors are the sensors telling your brain where your head is in space.
So by tilting your head to get a level gaze, you're essentially messing with your body's internal GPS.
You're silencing it, yeah. You're trading accurate feedback about your actual posture for this temporary visual stability, which is why, getting someone else to watch you or using video analysis is so vital. What we feel isn't always what's actually happening.
Okay, this really highlights that if we want to consciously change these patterns, we need to understand how we improve. The book, The Runner's Paradox, breaks down efficiency into 3 different types, right?
Yes, and it's crucial to distinguish between them because focusing on the wrong one leads to those plateaus, or worse, injuries.
What are they?
Okay, first you've got neuromuscular efficiency. This is basically the brain-muscle connection. It's about coordination, timing, that feeling of smoothness we talked about.
Got it. Smoothness.
Second is physiological efficiency. This is mostly involuntary stuff. Your heart, your lungs, your metabolism. Think VO2 max, how well your body uses fuel, your engine's capacity.
Right, the engine.
And the third, and this is the one that requires really focused, conscious effort, is biomechanical efficiency.
Yeah.
This is the nuts and bolts, the structure.
Like posture, movement pattern.
Exactly. The efficiency of your muscles and bones working together, your actual gait mechanics, the chassis, if you will.
Engine and chassis. I like that.
What's really interesting is how runners typically progress through these. When people start running, what happens? They see huge, quick gains in the first 2.
Yeah, you get faster pretty quickly. Breathing gets easier.
Right. Neuromuscular and physiological efficiency shoot up. The movement feels less effortful. And this initial rush lets runners get faster, feel fitter. Even if there are actual biomechanics, their gait is terrible.
So the engine gets tuned up even though the chassis is maybe a bit wonky.
Perfectly put.
Yeah.
The engine improves despite the faulty chassis.
I can definitely relate to that. You run a PB in a race and you immediately think, my form must be great. Look how fast I am.
Exactly. The stopwatch gives you this positive reinforcement that totally masks the underlying problems. But if you never address that fundamental biomechanical foundation, that faulty chassis, eventually progress just stops. The engine gets bottlenecked by the weak structure.
Or, bang, injury.
Or much more commonly, yeah, you hit that injury wall. Because those little compensations, they've been adding up stress over time until something finally gives. The lesson is crystal clear. For long-term running, for sustained improvement, you absolutely have to consciously work on your biomechanical efficiency.
Even if it feels awkward at first, even if it feels slower.
Especially then. It takes time to overwrite old habits.
Okay, so let's make this more concrete. Let's look at what poor, self-organized biomechanics actually look like on a real runner. The book gives this really vivid example, right? An interval runner Ying observed.
Yes, at the Hong Kong Sports Institute. This athlete was clearly fast, very fit, hitting great times in intervals. But his running form, well, it was almost a textbook case of how the body can organize itself in really detrimental ways.
So what was going on? Let's break it down, maybe starting from the top.
Okay, his upper body. There was excessive rotation, a really noticeable cross-body arm swing. His hands were swinging way across the midline of his chest.
Which isn't just wasted energy, is it?
No, it's actively counterproductive. It tightens up the chest muscles, and it forces the lower back, the lumbar spine, to handle way too much rotational force. Your core muscles then have to work overtime just trying to counterbalance that swing.
Okay, so that's setting up potential back issues down the road.
Absolutely. Chronic lower back fatigue, instability.
It's
a direct consequence over hundreds, thousands of miles. And his posture just made things worse. It was like a chain reaction.
How so?
He ran with hunched shoulders, a rounded upper back, that kind of C-shaped posture.
Yeah, I can picture it.
That physical shape restricts how well your rib cage can move, which means you can't easily take deep diaphragmatic breaths. Your core can't engage properly either.
So to get enough oxygen, especially doing fast intervals.
He had to rely heavily on the smaller muscles in his upper chest and neck to breathe, accessory breathing muscles, which just tightens that whole area up even more, creates this systemic tension, and it limits the natural, efficient rotation you actually need for running.
Wow. Okay, so tight chest, restricted breathing, and that probably affected his head position too.
Correctly. His neck was craned forward. It almost looked like he was trying to lead with his chin, pulling himself forward.
Right, I've seen that.
That forward head position does something really subtle but important. It shifts your center of mass slightly backwards, relative to where your feet are landing.
Okay. And if your center of mass is too far back?
Your body instinctively wants to reach forward with the foot to sort of catch itself, to maintain balance, which dramatically increases the likelihood of overstriding.
The classic overstride, landing with your foot way out in front of your body.
Exactly. It becomes this vicious cycle. The head position makes overstriding more likely, and the overstriding is where the real impact damage happens.
Because you're essentially hitting the brakes with every step.
Totally. He was slamming his heel down way out in front of his center of mass. That creates this huge braking force, this jarring impact, instead of a smooth roll forward.
And that force has to go somewhere.
Straight up the shin bone. Massive damaging load. Makes him a prime candidate for all those lovely impact injuries. Chronic shin splints, compartment syndrome, maybe eventually stress fractures.
So he was fast, yes, but his body was literally fighting itself with every single step.
Because his self-organized pattern, the one that felt normal to him, was just structurally unsustainable.
And it's so important to stress, like the book does, that fixing these things isn't about trying to achieve some perfect ideal form, is it? It's not about being elite.
No, absolutely not. It's not a moral issue. It's not about being correct. It's purely about, well, smarter engineering. It's about longevity.
Moving more intelligently.
Yeah, reducing unnecessary friction, unnecessary stress on the system so you can run for longer without breaking down. It's just about minimizing predictable injury risk by reducing those known high-stress loads.
Which means the biggest hurdle might actually be psychological.
I think it often is.
Yeah.
You have to make this shift away from that comfortable, maybe ego-driven idea of, I know how to run, I'm experienced,
Towards something more like,
towards something more vulnerable. Like, okay, maybe I'm still learning how to run better. And maybe what feels natural right now isn't actually helping me.
that vulnerability. That's tough, especially when you've put in so many miles.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Because a dedicated runner, they've practiced their current way of running for years. Millions of repetitions building that muscle memory. Those ingrained patterns feel right. They feel efficient.
So accepting that maybe they're not, that takes a real mental reset.
A huge reset.
Mhm.
And a willingness to feel awkward again.
Yeah.
To feel like a beginner, maybe.
And it's not like you can just delete the old software and install new form,
Right.
right? Relearning is different.
It's totally different. It's about engaging with your body as this intelligent, evolving system. You have to give it new information, better data, consistently. You're trying to overwrite these incredibly deep habits.
Habits built over countless repetitions.
Exactly. So it takes persistent effort, consistent focus, and often it feels slow. It's not a quick fix.
It has to be intentional work.
Absolutely. And, speaking of intentional work, before we dive into how our everyday lives feed into this, just a quick reminder for everyone listening.
Yes.
If these ideas about challenging your habits, about your body's adaptability, are striking a chord, remember this whole discussion is rooted in Chapter 13 of the book, The Runner's Paradox.
You can find out more about the book, dig deeper into these concepts, and of course, find out how to get your own copy over at therunnersparadox.com. Definitely worth checking out if this resonates.
Okay, that's a perfect point to pivot because we've established that running form isn't simple. It's this complex result of, well, everything, isn't it? Your muscle strengths, your weaknesses, how flexible you are, past injuries.
It's totally holistic. It reflects your entire life, your entire movement history, not just the hour you spend running.
Yeah. The book puts it so simply but powerfully. You can't expect to walk badly all day and then magically run amazingly.
Mm-hmm. Your gait when you run is just an extension of how you move, how you hold yourself the rest of the time. It's all one system. That really sounds like dynamic systems theory in practice, doesn't it? Your running gait is a dialogue with your whole body.
It absolutely is. Which means if we really want to improve our running form or fix a recurring injury, we can't just focus on drills or cues during the run. We have to look off the road.
At our daily lives.
Exactly. We have to examine the lifestyle choices, the postural habits that basically preload our bodies with compensations before we even lace up our shoes. These are the small, everyday inputs that accumulate and cause problems.
Okay, so what are the main culprits in modern life? What things do we do every day that might be setting our running form up to fail?
Well, probably the biggest one is spending long periods in suboptimal postures. Think about it.
Like sitting.
Sitting slumped on the couch for hours watching TV, or sitting at a desk, maybe with your head tilted slightly toward your monitor day after day, or constantly looking down at your phone.
Right. Standard stuff for many people.
Standard, but these sustained, non-ideal positions aren't neutral. They cause what scientists call microtrauma.
Microtrauma. That sounds small but significant. What does that actually mean for our structure?
It means tiny amounts of repetitive strain.
Huh.
Strain that causes gradual, subtle shifts in muscle length and tension. So, for example, if you always sit with your head turned slightly left towards your screen,
Okay.
over time, the muscles on that left side of your neck and upper back can actually shorten and tighten. Then when you go for a run and try to look straight ahead, those tight muscles restrict movement on one side.
And the rest of the body has to compensate.
Exactly. Your core, your spine, maybe even your pelvis might have to rotate slightly differently just to keep you feeling balanced and moving forward. The system finds a workaround.
So these tiny daily patterns, these micro adjustments, they reinforce poor movement habits, and they just stack up.
They stack up day after day, week after week,
Right.
until that accumulated microtrauma hits a critical point.
Yeah.
And then you get the macrotrauma.
The actual injury, the thing that stops you running.
Right. The sudden hamstring pull that doesn't feel sudden at all if you look back. The neck pain that flares up on long runs. The lower back issue that seems to come out of nowhere. So often, these running injuries have roots in imbalances created by our daily posture, our daily habits.
Let's talk specifically about sitting then, because that's almost universal for anyone with a desk job or a long commute.
Sitting is particularly tricky for runners because when you sit, your hips are held in a flexed position, right? Often for hours.
Yeah, bent hips.
This keeps your hip flexor muscles in a constantly shortened state. They get tight, chronically tight.
Okay.
Then when you finally stand up to go for a run, those crucial hip flexors struggle to lengthen properly. They can't achieve the full hip extension you need for a powerful, efficient stride, especially if you haven't done specific work to counteract the sitting, like activation drills or targeted strengthening.
And if the hips can't do their job properly, the body doesn't just give up, does it?
Never gives up. It finds another way. If the hips, which should be the main engine for propulsion, aren't driving effectively, where does the work get shunted?
Down the chain, knees and ankles.
Usually, yeah. The runner starts relying more on their knees and ankles to generate forward motion and absorb the impact. This changes the gait completely, often leads to more of a shuffle, less power, and dramatically increases the stress on those lower leg joints.
Which is where you see things like IT band syndrome, runner's knee, Achilles problems.
Exactly. The knee pain or the ankle issue might be the symptom, but the root cause could very well be hips that are dysfunctional because of how you spend the other 23 hours of the day. The running fault is often just reflecting a failure in daily posture and movement.
Which brings us back full circle to why change is so hard, even when we understand this. Why is it so difficult to break a pattern that's clearly not working?
Well, first, as we talked about, there's the sheer depth of habituation. Muscle memory.
Right, millions of steps.
Millions, potentially billions over a running career. You've practiced your current style, flaws and all, for so long. It's deeply wired into your nervous system. Trying to change it feels fundamentally unnatural, awkward. Sometimes it feels physically impossible because your brain is fighting for the old, familiar pattern it considers efficient.
You're literally fighting your own wiring.
You are. And then there's the second barrier, which is maybe more emotional. I call it the too much work factor.
Meaning?
Running's appeal is partly its simplicity, right? Lace up, head out the door. But running well, running sustainably for the long term, that takes work beyond just running.
Like strength training, mobility.
Yes. Dedicated, often unglamorous work. Strength training targeting specific weaknesses. Flexibility work. Constant conscious awareness of your body. It demands vulnerability. Vulnerability to admit that, hey, maybe even though I can run a marathon, I actually struggle to do a basic glute bridge properly. Or I can't balance on one leg without wobbling. That requires setting the ego aside, especially if you've built part of your identity around being a good runner.
So we have to accept running isn't just cardio, it's a skill. It's a strength sport, almost.
Fundamentally, it demands conscious engagement with your whole body, your whole structure, both when you're running and when you're not. You have to put in the work to make sure the chassis can actually handle the demands of the engine year after year. So I think the really powerful and honestly quite hopeful takeaway from all this, from Chapter 13, is that our bodies aren't fixed entities. They are incredible dynamic systems, literally designed to adapt.
And that adaptability, it's not a weakness, it's our greatest strength.
Absolutely, because it means change is always possible. We can always learn to move in a way that's more intelligent, stronger, more sustainable. We're never truly stuck with the gait we have right now.
Which really requires us to challenge that narrative we tell ourselves, doesn't it? That comfortable phrase, oh, this is just how I run.
We have to let go of that and instead embrace the idea that we're always students of movement. Always learning, always evolving, always able to improve that physical dialogue with our bodies.
To help kind of kickstart that psychological shift, that willingness to learn, we wanted to leave everyone listening with a few reflective questions. These are really inspired by the spirit of the runner's paradox.
Yeah, 5 questions to maybe mull over on your next run or just sitting thinking. First one, when was the last time you genuinely questioned your running form? And why did you question it? Was it only because something started hurting, or was it out of real curiosity about doing it better?
Good one. Okay, second, do you honestly think your current way of running is structurally efficient? Or is it just familiar, comfortable, because your body has done such a good job compensating for any underlying issues?
Third, what specific patterns, what little compensations might your body have adopted over the years? Maybe from an old ankle sprain, or a weak core, or just from sitting too much. What habits might be holding you back now?
Fourth, and this is about willingness. If you accept that your body can adapt, that it can learn to run better more sustainably, are you actually open to the discomfort that comes with relearning? The awkwardness? Maybe even slowing down for a while?
And the final question, really tying it all together, what would it actually mean for you personally to let go of that fixed idea, that comfortable excuse, this is just how I run? What possibilities open up if you release that?
Thinking about those questions, really sitting with them, that's the essential first step towards making real, lasting change. It's about committing to more intentional movement.
And that commitment, that intention, actually sets us up perfectly for where the book goes next. Chapter 14, the next part of our exploration, is called Calibrating a Smooth Running Experience.
Ooh, sounds interesting. What's that about?
It dives into this fascinating paradox of, well, of stillness within movement, of using intentional slowness, of what happens when we actually pause and pay attention, really deeply calibrate our own running experience for sustainability.
Looking forward to unpacking that one.
Yeah, the journey of improving how we run, it never really ends, does it? From that very first step where you consciously try something different to the very last mile you ever run, it's continuous.
So definitely subscribe to the Runner's Paradox podcast if you haven't already, so you don't miss that next discussion on stillness and calibration. And hey, maybe listen to this chat again while you're out on your next run. Pay attention. See what you notice about your own body, your posture, your movement.
Remember, even if you've run thousands and thousands of miles, the run still has something new to teach you if you're open to learning.
Absolutely. And you can find out more about the book that inspires these conversations, The Runner's Paradox, and all the ideas we explored today over at therunnersparadox.com.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into relearning how we move. Run smart, run strong, and hopefully run for a very long time. We'll talk to you again soon.